The Beef and Barnzy Show, brought to you by Bowlersmart.com, trusted by bowlers around the world since 2004. By Lightning Strikes Bowl, home of Bowlers Mart Pro Shop. By Platinum Ford, drive the difference. By Fire Lake Bowling Center, 24 state-of-the-art lanes. By True Grit Coatings, drive on our passion. By Roll to Grip, king of them all. By 900 Global, striking worldwide.
Good morning and welcome back to the Beef and Barnzy Show. This time a real talk review. We are going to go over two of the balls that we have both reviewed in the last week. The Storm Belmo Fate and the 900 Global Zen U. I am Barnzy as usual, joined by the inimitable Stu Williams. How are you, Stu?
Pretty good, yeah. Not too bad. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
You enjoyed your Halloween last night?
Oh, we had a good time. I get older. I like scaring kids more. So, not the young ones, just the old ones. But the brazenness of some teenagers to trick or treat and basically just a t-shirt and shorts and think that's the spirit of it. All is kind of absurd, but so they get their due justice.
Oh dear, love it. Love the whole situation. Such an American thing, trick or treat. It's like it's not that it doesn't exist anywhere else. It's just that Americans take it so seriously. So
yeah, our neighbors, it's something else. He's got like 8 blow up things. They all talk. Christmas is a lot of fun there. It seems it seems a lot for Halloween, but it means we get a lot of kids coming down our block. That's for sure. So
yeah, in our neighborhood, there was people handing out beers. People Jello shots were at 3 or 4 different houses apparently.
So is it adult trick or treat?
Both, yeah. Last year when we were doing it, one guy had the World Series game on his garage, like he had a projector with it on, with beers.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's a different way to celebrate it.
Yeah. So Tina's board today says sweet dreams are made of these. I'm not sure I'm ready to quite go that far, but I feel like we're off to a good start with them. Which one should we start with then, Christopher?
Well, I think we go with the urethane version first, okay. And we'll leave the headliner for part 2. So
yeah, it's a little strange. I'll be honest. At the minute, I can't decide which people are more interested in. Because there's obviously a lot of hype with Belmo doing a ball.
Of course.
But right now, people are really pumped for urethane, aren't they?
It is really a deal. And actually, I think we have one that might be a potential, at least, for, I guess, more of the masses. Where I think traditional urethane is really best mostly for high-end rev rate type players, but we shall see. This we have quite a bit of video here, and the brains of the show will probably put some of that up for us here in a second. But the Zen U is what they're calling S35, which is slightly stronger than the old Booyah. Urethane Plus is what they're calling it, and may or may not be easy to see on this screen, but it just hooks quite a bit more. It was 4 to 5 more than a pitch black. This full videos will be up on YouTube, or are up on YouTube right now, as a matter of fact. If you ask questions in there, we'll do our best to answer those as well. But there you see the numbers. some people are saying that it's the Zen core. Yeah, I mean, it's moderately related in shape, but that's really where it kind of starts and stops. As you can see, 256. The Zen is 248 or 249. 054. This is 027. It's literally half the diff. It's 7 or 8 points higher in RG. So those two combined, the RG part will give you probably 8 points. Will probably give you 6 feet if everything else is the same, which the cover's not. The amount of flare will probably cut that overall hook potential down by 50%, give or take. And so it's not going to hook nearly as much as the Zen, but Darren's looks so snappy compared to others I've seen. Well, and that can be very relative to what you're bowling on as well. This is a 30-year-old HPL surface, so it's going to pick up in the front a little bit. It's going to be a little bit smoother going down the lane. I also drilled mine in the storm layout system. That's going to be 4 by 9 by 3, maybe 4 by 8, I guess. So the pin's up by my ring finger. The CG would be static about an inch left of center line. And so it's also going to smooth out that reaction too and make it very urethane-ish. So that was the point. Craig Dobson, you feel the Zen U will be strong enough on sport patterns with some surface? It comes with a fair amount. This one right here is out of the box, and it looked pretty gritty. He said that one got all the way to the right really quickly and was pretty smooth off of it. I do think it's going to be something that's a little better for players who need a little bit more help, and urethane gets too smooth and really flat tens a lot. Do I suggest getting a full Zen for an Arsenal? For most everybody, it seems to be a ball that works pretty well. So a Zen Master Zen and Zen U all in one, I would say no, that's probably not it. This is going to hook less than all of them. It should be the earliest of the bunch. It should also be the smoothest down lane of the bunch. So 350, 360 or 500. A lot of guys in general will use, that's what happens on a 500 grit spare ball. Yeah, most guys use 500 on their urethanes to some extent. I just watched the college guys this weekend. They all have tons of surface on them when they're using them. And so, not unusual at all to have quite a bit of surface to help it pick up. One of the things you notice here, and what you can't hear me say, is I didn't wipe off the oil a couple of shots in a row, and it went significantly longer shot after shot. So something to remind yourself is you do need to wipe off the oil on urethane balls. I don't think that's particularly up to debate. For resin, that's become a debate whether you wipe it off or not, but not with urethane. Would you say this would fit in the middle of an IQ and a pitch black? I'd say that's probably about right. I mean, it's a pretty big gap, but yeah, the pitch black's going to hook for me. I thought 4 to 5 less than this, and certainly an IQ will hook considerably more later and then more. You've watched these videos, Stu. What did you see with these? I can't hear you.
I wondered why you hadn't been saying anything back to me. The thing that's hardest about doing these reviews is it's really hard to set up a pattern to review a urethane ball on.
It is.
And the worst thing for a urethane ball for right-handers certainly is probably the house shot. Because where you really want to play, there's just way too much friction. It's kind of an odd deal.
There's a pitch black
just
there.
1 second.
Considerably straighter with that pitch black. And so Nick, we could talk about his Zen U, but it depends on what you want to talk about. He's going to throw it up in the air. He's going to spin it considerably more. So what I'm talking about here is how much it flares. About 3 inches or so. Versus if I drilled this in a Zen, that would have flared like 8 inches. It'd have flared around the ball. Whether this is Global's answer to the purple hammer, I think it's more of an answer to fit a need within the storm line. I have not thrown a purple hammer. I've only seen one, so I can't really say, where it lands with them. This is not a terrible question. I'm the only lefty on a fresh house shot and throwing a purple hammer. I don't know about significant transition, but yeah, you'll push oil down the lane. And the deal is the new balls absorb oil and they pick it up off the lane. And urethane does not. And so what it does is kind of snowplow. Well, here's the shot how urethane is meant to be thrown. Two-handed. And if you do things two-handed, everything's just easier. So that's how it is. In the video, if you watch the video, Terry, I don't have a good UC3 to compare it to at the moment, but in my estimation, it's stronger in the mid lane, a little less responsive down lane. So it's a little smoother overall. Probably hooks a similar amount, but it'll be more rounded shape, more of a urethane shape.
I don't think it gets as forward as the UC3 does. The UC3 hooks violently and then tends to quit, whereas I think this is a little easier to make continue. But that's because asymmetrical urethane very rarely looks good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you just end up like the one that you had that looked good. You kind of tried to drill it so it didn't have any chance of being asymmetrical. So,
right, I tried to minimize that a little bit.
Now,
you what?
I think that was the pitch black.
That was a pitch black there. That was from full arrow right, basically, like 5 and 3, 5 and 4 right. So,
I think that Darren's looks in between what. Sorry, my urethane is in between what Chris is looking like and what Darren's is looking like. Darren also hits up on it like a motherfucker. That's why he does really well with urethane, because he's able to do that. Neither me or Chris really do that. So maybe the guys who like urethane are successful with it. We'll see more what Darren's seeing.
It could be true urethane or turethane. I don't. All they call it is urethane plus. It doesn't seem to be as responsive, at least. It certainly doesn't for me. And so turethane, I would think, is actually the smoother shape anyway. I mean, that's what the players, they don't want it to hook more down lane, especially if you have Storm, Roto, or Global equipment available to you already. You have lots of balls that hook down lane a lot. So you're looking for that stronger shape in the mid and then smoother in the back, so it makes it easier on sport patterns. I mean, that would be the tour version. And then when you bowl on house shots, then it just blends out that big wet dry.
More like hook stop, I guess, is the better description of it. Like usually when we're talking about a ball being forward, it hooks and then it's supposed to be in like rounded. It kind of hooks and then it goes forwards. It goes straight.
Yeah, it doesn't want to keep moving left. It starts going towards the pins versus towards the 7 pin or the 8 pin.
That may well be correct. Yeah. Zen U versus pitch purple. I think the Zen U is much stronger than the pitch purple.
Yeah, I think it's stronger in the mid. It's earlier too. The pitch purple when it saw friction hooked a lot, and when it saw oil, it hooked not very much. Was my take on it.
Luke drilled one. That's supposed to say Rosedal. Drilled on his live stream last night. He said it's most likely a urethane blend. I think that's probably true.
It wouldn't be a surprise, I guess. So that they've added a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised that that's the case with all of them out there, whether they tell you that or not. Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know. I mean, from what I've seen, it gives me a reaction that reminds me of how I thought I might have had the reaction out of the UC3, but once oil got down the lane, I found the UC3 a little difficult to use. It was harder to manipulate with it being asymmetrical. So I've got hopes for the Zen U. But for me, it's very hard to evaluate a urethane ball until I bowl with a bunch of people using urethane.
Yeah.
We
almost have to bowl a regional or a tour type stop, because on the house shot it's not necessary for the most part. You see a few, but you don't see 75% of the field like you do sometimes with the regional and national tour in the first couple games.
Yeah. Eric says, what's a good practice for 10-pin leaves? Damn, a 10-pin lol. You talking about sparing them, or what you should do when you leave them? So from like I say, from what I've seen from this, I can see it being obviously a step up from the pitch black. I think it's going to be something for me that I feel like I might be able to use on some of the longer patterns. I personally don't think it's going to be that good on shorter patterns. I think it's going to hook too much from what I've seen so far. But I don't tend to have that much issue on the short patterns with the urethane. It's more the medium and longer patterns where I have the issue. So from my point of view, yeah, I mean, on the short patterns, I'm tending to, because there's so much friction to the right, I'm tending to use the urethane ball for probably only a game anyway, and then get into reactive. And I think reactive for me is better than urethane in that regard. I think that where it becomes crucial, urethane, is when you're bowling on those medium to short or long patterns. And some of the guys can just hit the pocket every shot with the urethane.
Yeah.
I think that's where it might be useful for like some lower rev rate guys. I would hope so, but like I say, we've had the ball for a whole week. I mean,
right. Early, the fact that it's a low flaring ball, I think helps. It seems less responsive than the UC3, but more responsive than the pitch black. So hopefully it's a step off of it. No, I don't think so at all. I think it's going to be a piece off of it. That I think it's going to fit best if you're going to have one urethane. Then it's going to be players with a little bit softer, a little touch more speed dominant, a little softer rev rate. Ones that need a little bit more help getting a urethane ball to tip, but still want that control.
I think the only thing I'm going to be a little bit wary of is I still think that urethane balls, you need to throw them a little softer, speed wise. And the problem comes when you have a ball that's as strong as the Zen U, you kind of get tricked into throwing it hard to keep it online. And I don't think that's going to be a good idea. So I think you need to embrace the fact that you can open your angles up more than you can just throw it 100 because it's more responsive than the pitch black. I'm just saying, like, overall, I feel like that gives you the biggest miss with urethane, like that control down the lane. But you get that from having a little slower speed, getting it into the roll and making it continue.
Right.
So we'll like I say, we'll see. I think it's a positive first week, but like I say, it's hard to 100% know exactly where it's going to fit until you get down and dirty in the trenches with it.
Yeah. I guess Weber won with urethane regional this weekend, and they thought it was a fast pitch, which would make sense. He uses the fast pitch and the pitch black off of each other. Fast pitch is longer, a little cleaner. And this will be another step on the other side where it's a fast pitch a little longer, and then with a touch more direction than the pitch black, this should be a little stronger and a little bit more motion. So
real quick for you, did you feel like the Zen U was a little cleaner than the pitch black?
I didn't, but well, I guess so, because I could be 3 or 4 boards left. And so, yes, from that standpoint, yes, it'd be the equivalent of drilling something like pin down versus pin up. I mean, for where I had to stand, for the amount of hook, then it was cleaner going through. But yeah, maybe just a touch, but I didn't find
Yeah,
them.
that's kind of I found it to be a little cleaner, but a lot stronger overall.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get into comparing balls with balls that I don't know what they really do. So the Purple Hammer is obviously super successful. Thousands of players are using it. So to compare a ball we bowl with for a week to that, I think doesn't really make sense. And I feel like it's a road that a lot of the other companies went down with the high road. I'm not sure it's necessarily that productive.
Yeah, I think you're much better off making balls that fit within your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Craig. Appreciate it. Always like being told I'm right.
Yep. Team Never Wrong coming back to December 2022. PBA 50 over under doubles.
Yeah. Ow. Medium pattern ball, it seems to not react as quick as the pitch black does in the front. Yeah. Like I say, I just think that I don't think the pitch black is quick. I just think that I guess it's quick in that it's early, so it's closer to you. But yeah, that's not how I necessarily attach quick. So Pete used the fast pitch. What is your guys' worst sanction score? Oh, I mean, I shot a 105 in a tournament in a European tour event.
Yeah, I shot 117 at collegiate ACUI sectionals one year. So
depends what you bowl on.
No, I think if you have different skill sets, not everybody needs it. I don't think soft forever, really soft, slow speeds probably need it a lot. I think it's more soft rev rates. I mean, if you're super speed dominant,
Lilo says
probably
at
not.
Longview.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, your thing going down the lane at the wrong direction, at not the pocket, can make the lane challenging. I mean, it's no different than following house balls. And if you ever gone and bowl practice after a Friday or Saturday night full of open play, the lane can get kind of backwards. So,
all right, let's transition into the Fate. See what I did there? Transition ball. Let's I'll throw up the video of me throwing the Fate. I've actually got Chris's ready to go. I just need to slap a thumbnail on it and it'll be up in probably by noon. So let me share the screen of me throwing the Fate. So I was over at Highland. The pattern over there is actually a little longer than it's been. It's like 42 feet. It's kind of tight for a house shot, actually. So I've touched the surface a little bit on this Fate. Just hit it with like a 2000 pad, nothing like, life changing. Mainly just because I felt like it was just a little. It wasn't really quite strong enough for what I was looking for out the box. I think that the success that I personally have had with Rex has come with the ball, with the Rex cover, which is on this ball. It's on the Infinite Physics, it's on the Dark Code, and it's on the Night Road. I really like the Night Road and the Infinite Physics, and to my surprise, they were the two balls that weren't shiny. The Dark Code for me was a bit hit and miss. It was either amazing or it was meh. So So anyway, that's why I touched the surface, just to kind of be more consistent with the Night Road. I didn't really do many comparisons with the Night Road for the simple reason that the Night Road isn't even close to the 15-pound Night Road or the 14-pound Night Road. And being as about 1% of balls sold are 16 pounds, it didn't really make any sense for me to give you guys a comparison, because just so you know, the Night Road is 257,045 in 15. In 16, it's 252,057. So the Night Road actually is arguably a little stronger than the Fate in 16 pounds.
Right.
Um,
In my video, which as Stu said will be posting up later, I do throw the Night Road up against it to give you an idea, so you can physically see.
This comparison, I'm seeing a lot of people talking about it, and maybe I'm just misremembering those numbers from that ball. But I don't think people would be saying that if it wasn't. I mean, I guess it is closer than I thought it was. Yeah, it is pretty close number-wise. I feel like the Fate's quite a bit is smoother, but also a bit stronger than the original Wolverine. For me, the original Wolverine was quite jerky.
Yeah, I think the Fate's stronger overall. I think it fits. It can fit really well as a middle ball.
One question that I've got for you, because I feel like I've got not the best read on the Phase 5.
Okay.
Where do you see the Phase 5 fitting off this one?
I think the Phase 5 is actually in a pretty similar overall hook. It's a little earlier and smoother for me. I know you Phase 5 goes forever for you. Both balls have the same cover, or I mean the same finish with reactor gloss. And I felt like on both of them, for me, lightly touching it with 3,000 or 2,000 really woke it up, and I liked them both a little bit more that way. But for me, this will be a couple feet longer, but overall, especially as they start to hook or there's a little bit of free friction, I think the Fate outhooks the Phase 5.
Yeah, that's kind of what that's kind of the thing. I feel like the Phase 5 is really smooth. Nice little 5.710 on lane 29 there, by the way. I feel like the Phase 5 is really smooth, like for me. And it's obviously got a weaker cover stock. Now, I watched Brad do his video, and Brad's like, yeah, the Phase 5 is way stronger than the Fate. And I'm just like, I just don't really see that. So that's why I tell everybody to watch all the other videos, just so you get a wide range of it. It's just it's hard because I feel like the two balls end up balancing out a little bit because one's stronger core wise, but the other's stronger cover wise. So then it's like, well, realistically, which is making the bigger difference? Because it's also hard for us because we don't really know, like hand on heart, how much difference Rex is to R2S. We have a pretty decent idea of what 247 is to 253 because we've done that multiple times. So Fate versus Wolverine, Rex service plays the most part. Yeah, that's probably fair. Somebody was asking me another question. Is the Fate closer to the Dark Moss in 16? I think the Dark Moss is really smooth. And for me, the Dark Moss is quite a bit weaker than the Fate overall.
Yeah, I think the Fate's stronger. I'm actually drilling a Dark Moss today.
Yeah. So are you going to polish it before you drill it? Or
I haven't taken it out of the box yet. So I'm not sure how, depending on the age of it, I guess.
No, they didn't.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It is 4,000. I will polish it, yes.
Yeah. I didn't particularly like that cut. Let me restart this. I absolutely hated that ball with the 4K fast.
Yeah, and 15, it's high enough RG. Well, it's 16 also now. So, but it's high enough RG, doesn't flare enough to have surface on it. It didn't. It's just not where I want it to fit.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Night Road. The Night Road rolls good for Tina with the 4K fast finish on it, but I think that stronger Rex cover makes more sense. Here, I'm just trying to open my angle up a little bit more with the Fate to give you guys an idea of what it'll do later on. So R2S is turned into a weaker cover category. It kind of was already, to be honest.
Remember, it came out on the Rocket, I think, a long time ago.
Yeah, R2S has been out forever. It was on the High Road, the original High Road, and that's 2008. So it's been around for a while, and it's obviously changed a little bit. How does it compare to the Zen? For me, the Zen is earlier and a couple of boards stronger overall than the Fate. That's kind of where I had it. What about you?
Yeah, I felt like the Fate or the Zen was actually a little bit cleaner for me.
Oh, okay.
But my Zen is still shiny all the way versus the Fate I touched just a little bit. But
okay, we don't need to see me that Zen.
But again, I thought the Fate was a touch more. They're just different. I can't. The Fate, in some ways, was a little bit stronger overall.
Wow!
Whether that's the surface and the cover, making it that way. It's enough. I need to throw it a couple other places to really see, because some places can be much earlier than I think the Fate would be, and then other places it's really clean and really angular.
The Zen's a bit of a chameleon, isn't it? You never really know where it's going to look like.
There's a few oils that really affect it a lot.
Yeah,
and
I feel like it's lane surface as well. When you're in a place that's got a really crappy lane surface, and then a lot of oil in the mid lane, it doesn't really bode well for the Zen, I don't think.
Yeah, it doesn't look as good in that particular center where I test at, because like I said, it's a very old HPL, so it's softer. It's got wood approaches, so it's uphill the first 15 feet anyway, and it tends to want to see that front and react to it a little bit. Where this I thought went through a little easier.
No, not really. For me, the phase 3 was really responsive and then really forward. I see the Fate as being much more continuous than the phase 3. But somebody asked, is the phase 4 stronger than the phase 5? Define stronger. For me, it covers more boards, the phase 4, and it's way more down lane than the phase 5. But I don't know that I'm necessarily in the majority there. That's just what I saw out of mine.
Yeah, for me, I felt like it changed directions a little sharper, but it would get forward a little quicker. The phase 5 for me seems like it's a little more rounded overall. Slightly.
Phase 5.
Phase 5, I'm sorry. The phase 5 is slightly more rounded overall.
Yeah.
And
I think that the phase 4 is definitely more responsive, and depending on the player, that can really result in it looking like it hooks and goes forward.
There you go.
It really comes around the corner. Like for me, I had one with like the weird pin in the bridge, which was really like a 5 3/4 inch pin. And I could make that ball come back from anywhere when we were at the TOC. When they got super tight, I could throw it like 12 miles an hour and just let it go. I also bowl in places that put more oil, more skid on the lane. Messengers are a little.
To be fair,
my messenger count's probably going to dwindle somewhat though, because now Mel's has got rid of twisters. That wasn't at Mel's, but I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
We don't have the twister love now. I can't just go in and bowl for 5 minutes and get one messenger for the gram anymore.
Twisters on a 10-year-old lane center versus year and a half old pins in a 70-year-old lane center is a bit of a disadvantage.
But you're right, Derek. I do get more. Chris has Ryan now. We like our kind of 1000 and then step 2, or which you're using reactor shine.
I use 1000 reactor shine most of the time when I do it, but yeah.
Thank you, Wayne. Sorry, done that one. Fate versus Idle Cosmos. Fate is way stronger and way more angular. The Idle Cosmos is really a control ball, I think. I actually am kind of surprised that Ryan doesn't like the Cosmos.
I think it's sideways when it finally hooks. It's so clean, and then when it goes, it goes.
Yeah, I just feel like if you put servers on it, it isn't really that clean. That's the thing. Well, not for me anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we like to hear, Jason. Probably not ever, just because we can't get them.
Yeah, there's only 300 of them. It's a very limited run.
Is it that few?
I think that's what they said. There was only that many of them. So
Okay.
I could be wrong about that. Most likely am, but I think Stu and I do this a couple different ways. And it says if you're bringing in a fade or any ball, how are you deciding to change the surface? And most of the time, myself, I set up my arsenal where I have balls with a lot of surface, 500 or 1,000, at the top, and then I stack them as they go down. And so I don't necessarily change them at sight, very rarely, unless I just get stuck and in a limited ball situation and need one to pick up more. But for the most part, I just leave them where they are. If they don't look good, then I have a ball that's set up to be either longer or earlier, 3-4 feet one way or the other.
I do have to laugh talking about this because Brad made the point that when you add surface to a ball, it doesn't really make it hook more. It just makes it a little earlier and smoother. That's what he says. He then gets up, moves 5 left, throws it, and it goes straight through the face. And I'm like, doesn't hook more, eh, Brad? So I think it makes them cover like more lane overall. It might do it by it being earlier, but for me, if I'm using a pearl ball and I kind of want to get like my angles separated a little more, and I throw it and I'm 210ing a lot in the practice, that's when I'd probably think about trying to touch it just to make it come off a little earlier. Because the 210 is one of those things that if you start leaving it, it's really difficult to get out of leaving by just using your hand. It's usually a surface or a ball change.
Yeah.
Exactly. To be fair, it does depend. Morning. Right. I'm a left-hander, slower speed, low revs. Left-hander, slower speed, low revs. For me, Fate or Phase 5. I think probably the Phase 5. I think the characteristics of that probably match up better to a left-hander because I think that like having the lower RG will give you a kind of a smoother reaction, and then the fact that you have the lower speed, having the weaker cover, which is also on the Phase 5, I think is probably going to match up better for you. Yeah, I saw
the Cosmos. It's now Morgan's ball. It's his girlfriend's ball now. It was pretty. So she commandeered it, and she's now two-handed.
I was about to say.
So, yeah.
There you go. Sandy's saying, are you looking forward to bowling this weekend?
Yes. Sandy gets to carry. That's right. No worries. You're replacing Rick Minear. He only shot 800 the games 4, 5, 6 a couple weeks ago. So
Sandy averaged like 240 last year when she bowled with this.
Yeah, I mean, she more than carries her.
Fate versus Dark Code. Apple versus Orange.
Yeah, depending on if you shine your dark code or not, I guess.
I mean, for me, it's just they're like totally different. Like the weight block is like massive in the dark code. The dark code, if you don't drill it weak, flares the entire ball. So for me, the Fate's a little smoother. I think the dark code's really quite angular. And I think it's stronger overall. Here's Mr. John Wukash. Nice bowling. Very good last weekend. 471 over. Just ripped my heart out and stomped it on the sidewalk. Yeah, ALS 889 for 3 games last weekend in the middle of the block. 300, 290, 299. Should urethane ever be used with greater than 500 surface? Sand between each session. If you mean grit, you mean like 1,000 grit? Probably not. Like a lot of surface on urethane, I think, is the deal for most people.
1,000 is probably the least amount that you would want on it.
You're one of the people who uses it quite shiny, relatively speaking, I think.
I'll use it as a tool, where I'll let it go ahead, and because it does, like, I guess the one comment about it being quick in the front, I don't mind throwing it slower, and so
I think I'm gonna term like put in a new term. I think it's grabby in the front.
Grabby. There we go. I mean, it certainly doesn't eliminate it, but it gets a little less grabby.
I don't think we can use the phrase "clean in the front, banger in the back" to describe the pitch black.
Yeah, probably doesn't need to be the next Beef and Barnzy shirt either. So, yeah.
Morning, Austin. Have Gem, Nova, and Zen. Think I need to add another ball in this area. Maybe reality. Whoa, that's a lot of strong balls. Gem, Nova, and Zen. I hope you're really speed dominant. If you want to think about adding a reality. Chris, I see you have a tight thumb hole that allows the ball to let go of you as opposed to squeeze and let go of it at the right time. Do you and Stu have this tight thumb hole thing? I don't have as tight a thumb hole as Chris, no.
A lot of it's what you get used to in some respect. I mean, I have relatively no thumb issues, but the one thing, and there is a YouTube video on it, I did finally have to change my fit because I wasn't.
Look for this pose.
Yeah.
Good video, that. 35,000 views or whatever.
Yeah, and it basically just detailed. It wasn't broken, so I didn't fix it until it was broken, and maybe waited a little too long, but detailed some of the changes you have to make as a aging player, as your hand stiffens up and your body stiffens up. So check that one out.
What is the difference between a shot that leaves the 210? I mean, a good break, and probably the 210, the ball's coming in a little bit more angular. The 2-pin, the ball's probably a little flatter.
Most of the time for me, a 210 is a board and a half move, and a 2-pin's a board move.
See, that's why he's in the Hall of Fame. I've never even thought about it like that. I'm just like, fucking 2-pin fall over. One year I bowled the World Series, and you have like your top 10 leaves. Well, the top 10 leaves is always like the 10-pin, the 4-pin, and the 7-pin. They're always in there.
Yeah. And
if you're bowling like an asshole, the 3-6-10's in there. Like, they're just the basic leaves, right? Of the top 10 leaves, I had four, I think of it. Four or five of my top 10 leaves for the World Series all involved the 2-pin. Tell me you stink without telling me you stink.
Well, you're consistent.
2-pin.
We're taking the positives.
Yeah. 2-pin, 2-8, 2-4-10, 2-4, 2-8-10. Like, oh my God, stop.
If they'd have moved the head pin 2 inches to the right, you would have led the tournament.
Or brought the pins like 5 feet back.
One myth you didn't go over in the video a few weeks ago is that urethane is for dry lanes. Oh yeah, myth or fact. So yeah, urethane isn't necessarily for dry lanes. Yeah, that's probably.
Ordered a burner pearl because I always wanted one. How does it compare to the Night Road? Well, Regina, now you're throwing 14 pounds. You're really just making more of a cover change than you are a weight block and cover change. So bear that in mind. The Night Road is actually quite a lot less in 14 than it is in 15 or 16. So I think it's a 37 diff. And the burner pearl's in the kind of that same range. So just be careful. Definitely don't drill the burner pearl stronger than the Night Road, because you'll end up with the burner pearl being too close to it.
Yeah, the cover is going to be the main difference, and it's also not asymmetric, but it's a weaker cover, And that's
Yeah.
where you're going to see the biggest difference.
It's
If you
also
combine
shiny.
that with a little bit weaker drilling, you should get a pretty
Yeah,
a
and it's also shiny versus
Right.
4K fast. So that's the other.
True.
I have a Zen U coming. Awesome. I'm hoping that Storm comes out with a new IQ Tour of some sort, maybe something that reacts between the Emerald and the Nano Tour. Well, they do have another ball coming out called the Sunstorm that has the IQ Tour and it has spec cover on it. So that's definitely going to be something different if you're lucky enough to get hold of one. Dragged my dad to bowl league this season after 7 years away. That's awesome. Bought him a camo. Yeah, that's a pretty good ball. He throws it 15 miles an hour at times, but very low reps. Service help makes it hook a little bit. Looking for a ball up from that. Well, you've got a lot of choices. I would think that you would still want to go with something that had I would think that you might want to consider a hybrid or a pearl cover, because with lower revs, you're going to want to see something that's one hook more down the lane. We like the infinite physics. That would be a big step up. Something that's more in between, I guess, might be this Fate. Might be a reasonable option. Night Road is another fairly reasonable option.
Yeah. There's a lot of balls that are stronger than the camo. So.
Yeah, there's a lot to choose from. But what I'm saying is I think that if you've got 15 miles an hour, I'm guessing that's 15 miles an hour off the monitors. You're quite speed dominant, especially with lower revs. So I would look for something where you're going to see something that's going to be more angular down the lane. I've got a high road and a phase 2. What's a good ball one step up from the phase 2? Infinite physics.
Yeah, I mean, infinite physics. A bigger step up goes to reality.
Gem.
Yeah, those are pretty big steps. But
yeah,
infinite physics with a little bit of surface on it would be a pretty nice bump off that.
Are you talking about mine?
I think he's talking about the slogan shirt from.
Okay. Breaking my heart like that, Chris. I'm thinking there's a reason the natural pearl and stuff never ever is stuck around. So my guess is urethane and rough surface is the way to go. Yeah, I think they were just experimenting and trying.
Yeah, it's a philosophical difference of urethane at the beginning. That was just
well, there's also a philosophical difference in the rules as well.
Well, yeah, it's just a non-absorbing resin at the very beginning, and now
it was also 78 on the hardness scale.
True.
So that was also a big difference.
Well, at times. So, yeah, I mean, the one thing that the tight thumb hole does, it allows me to really have a relaxed hand pressure and push the ball through the front a little easier versus at times you want it to pick up and I could use a lot more grip pressure and grab at it. So. I mean, how fast that peels off the ball has way more to do with the center you bowl in sometimes than anything else. But yeah, if you clean off the whatever residue is being left by the lane, the back, the pick cushion, all that, it will. I think Vice has a good cleaner. I think Storm has a good cleaner. Everybody has something that.
Reactor foam.
There you go.
Storm's version of that. As a two-hander, which would suggest playing deeper between phase 5 and Fate on league conditions? I'm leaning on the face since it's a stronger cover. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I think it's going to give you more miss in the oil.
Those two, the difference between that and IQ 2 or solid, you could drill them the same and they would be fairly significantly different anyway. That IQ 30 cover was really clean.
I believe it's 10, but don't get upset when you're wrong.
I have to ask my GM, Anthony. He knows when those are. So.
The phase 5 is a little smoother. I think it's hard to say that the two balls overall hook about the same amount. They just shape differently. I think that the Fate might be a little better if they're getting drier, just mainly because you can kind of shape it more, so you can kind of hook around where the lanes are dry.
IQ2 or U, good overseas. Yeah, I mean, it would flare just a touch more than the balls that we have now. Depends on where the calluses are. If they're on the pads of your finger, most likely you're a little long.
These are two-hander. Is there any such thing as long?
Oh, two-handed. Yeah, my bad.
You
Typically, you just move the pitches towards where the friction is. Without seeing, it's hard to say. That's a very generic answer.
Yeah, I was about to say, sometimes with two-handers that I've seen is a little bit of an issue is if they really put their fingers in and then pull their hand really tight across the ball. And then you put a lot of pressure on your fingers, and that's why you can end up getting the tips have a lot of calluses. That sucks.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think we have changed the cover. I had a shiny one and I've had a dull one, and I've liked it. It's retained its shape with surface changes, which is a pretty good sign.
As a staffer for a brand, are you required to wear something branded with your company on if you're in the bowling center?
Only if you'd like to stay employed by them.
I'm not that vain, so I don't really care.
Yeah.
Is it at 11? It's at 11. Is your friend making an appearance? There you go. She's replying to our buddy there. How's the look of the Zen U compared to the purple ball from the other company? Again, not going to get into those conversations. I haven't thrown the purple hammer, so hard to say. The purple hammer's obviously extremely successful. They're selling a lot of them, and they're everywhere. So hopefully the Zen U is, but we're a weekend
Smith, he is a peer in age group, so he's bowling tour once upon a time, but had difficulty finding back. Recently, I took one and I went over it with 2K fast on a spinner and let it lane shine up, and it fit in my bag much better there. I used it at Plano, and when I tried to make it a little stronger, actually, it wasn't really. I mean, I like so many balls up there with Reality and Gem and Supernova and Proton. I mean, there's so many good ones up there. It didn't really make a lot of sense up there, and so making it a little smoother and letting the lane shine fit my bag a little bit better.
Yeah, the Zen Soul isn't one of my favorites. I prefer the Phase 2 in that cap. I think it's too close to the Phase 2 to make sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of competition in there, and it's really nuances on kind of what you like, unfortunately.
It depends. Does the Phase 2, do you find that's good as your weakest ball? Because if it is and you're speed dominant and a lefty, I would think that you could put something like an Infinite Physics or a Reality in between the Gem and the Phase 2 and you'd be in good shape. But if you're struggling with the Phase 2 being too weak, then being too strong, then I consider a Zen would be.
Yeah, the Reality is the ball I think I have in between those two.
Yeah.
And you have the Proton instead of the Gem, but that's kind of where you fit that Reality as well. So
yeah. Yeah, but he said really low revs. So 15 on the monitor with really low revs is going to probably be speed dominant.
Yeah, 15 on the monitors equals about 17 and a half, 18 off your hand. So add 2.5 to 3 to what you see up there.
Especially if you're bowling in the friction.
Yeah. Now, if you throw in the shim, it won't slow down as much. But
yeah, I can't get my ball speed up. Move 3 left, he'll go up.
Move your eyes 3 left. Yeah, it'll go up a mile per hour at least.
Yeah, no problem. There is no replacement for the IQ Tour. They don't need one, I guess.
Yeah.
You still just go out. Okay, here's a good one. I have a Hammer Emerald Vibe, Ocean Vibe, and Reaper with an IQ Emerald and Emotive Pride what urethane can I add to my bag? I'm left-handed. I was looking at the Zen U. I don't know. I mean, yes. Like I said to you, we from what we've seen so far, we like the Zen U. We think it's quite strong. I don't necessarily think it's a traditional urethane shape. So if you've had urethane in the past and you didn't like it, the Zen U is probably a good happy medium, I guess. But
Yeah.
I have a lot of forward roll and times have trouble with the ball rolling too early. Oh, Barnes, this is definitely a you question. Would longer pin layouts work better or around? I focus more on lowering val angles mixed in with lower surface. Okay, so the lower val angle is probably not going to help you because that's going to be a shorter pin buffer. So if you do that with a lot of forward roll, I find that you really get it to go really forward. Like it'll hook and then just go forward. Yeah. So I'd actually look at bigger val angles to make it a little more rounded. But now as to would longer pin layouts work better? Again, probably, but really depends.
Yeah, I mean, typically say my rev rate's obviously less than Tommy Jones, but my pin distances have been 1/2 to 1 inch further from my PAP than Tommy because of I roll it. He has more speed and more rotation, so he clears the front easier. So moving pins a little further away. As of recent, we've played around with a little higher top weights with moving CG's left of center, which if you watch my ball videos have been a lot lately. As that migrating axis comes to meet it, it's made some asymmetrical balls not get forward so quick. And there's a lot of things behind that, but that's been a relatively, it went against everything that I was taught, but what I was taught was kind of based off balls with no cores in them too. So,
he was taught with rocks, wooden balls and stone pins.
I mean, a lot of those things about positive side weight, negative, and all that where the CG had to do with pancake weight blocks and original black hammers and balls like this at 020 diff that didn't matter. Now we're finding some different things that's helped. So finding balls with higher top weights, moving the CG left of center, I think actually does help some. And pin up is useful, but super, super tall ones just makes it sharpen and get forward to pretty quick. So,
all right, Chief, stop showing off. Yes, I think that the Zen U is going to be more useful than the Rubicon UC3 just because I don't really think asymmetrical urethane is the way forward. Grabber in the front, banger in the rear. League shirt will sell like hotcakes.
That's what we need. All right, Marcus, thank you. Nice to hear some things. We both do have PayPal and Venmo if you are so moved. But in the meantime, just watch the videos on YouTube and share that around a little bit. We'd appreciate your support any way you
buy
choose.
A t-shirt.
Yeah.
I believe they are going to, Mike. Yes.
We've heard that they had plans to. So, like everything else, supply issues. But
I guess that's the PBA.
Oh, okay. The official schedule will be out Thursday. And we will have someone who can answer that question for you on Thursday.
Yeah, sounds like, remember we were talking about this last week. The flat league.
1-1 for league. Just pass.
Oh, that's the same one. He just rewrote
Yeah.
it. Is the Axiom Pearl circa for dry lanes? Not really, but you're not the only person who found it a little difficult to make that ball hook. I think it was really hit and miss. I think the guys who liked it, like Chris and Ryan, really liked it. And the guys, there wasn't that many guys who were like, you know what, this ball's okay. It was either it was great or it was meh.
It's a little bit smoother, and so it blends out wet dry. And if you have wet dry issues, it plays pretty well on that. So,
how do you feel about the plan to have match play on FS1? It depends whether I'm bowling. If I'm bowling in that, I think it's a great idea.
well, fair. All right.
Minstrel, my pro shop average said get high road pearl, so I have more energy at the pins getting it this week. What can I expect out of this ball? Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I mean, I know that Jim Pratt always has high road pearls in stock at his pro shop. That's the ball he gives to all of the league players with like a slower ball speed because it's something that's going to retain enough to give them pop on the back. It's been a staple in most people's bags for quite a while. Yeah, I think it's like a good all round, clean through the front, banger in the back.
Basically efficiency of motion. You know, it's actually not as much different than one-handed bowling, and you're like a golfer. You're pivoting off that hip, and so by getting your timing in and where you can load up on that right leg and push forward, you can create a lot of speed without a lot of mass. So,
should I go with a different layout on the Fate as my night road? I mean, if you wanted to separate them a little bit more, I think you could probably go like maybe a quarter to half an inch stronger on the Fate.
in 15 pounds, you don't need to. Yeah. You're 4 or 5 points different, RG wise already. But yeah, I mean, in general, I guess I'm for accentuating those differences. I go out, half-inch weaker with the night row will separate it even more.
Yeah. I dig my fingers. Yeah, just like I say, just try and relax your hand a little more into the ball. I think that might have something to do with it. Purple Armor, Hustle Wine, and a
more
high
reverse
road.
if not.
Sorry?
And just more reverse. You're talking about the back
Yeah.
of the middle of the fingers. Just go with more reverse if that doesn't work.
More away.
Away. Yes.
What ball at the top of my bag? Left-handed, two-hander, 16 miles an hour, down lane.
Okay, so 18 and a half.
I mean, we're going to say infinite. I mean, we're repeating ourselves here, but infinite physics.
Yeah, I mean, that's a smoother. Yeah, I mean, a smoother ball, something that is controllable.
Ryan really likes the reality.
Yeah, a reality in that spot, a phase 2 in that spot, one of those control, bigger kind of control balls. That's good shape.
No, let's shelve that for another day, and I'll get someone who actually knows what they're talking about.
It's such a complicated, and we probably can bring in some fit experts to help on that. If that's something you guys are interested in, for sure, we can bring in.
I know the exact guy for that.
Yeah,
who has time. The ideal guest that I'd love to do like an entire series with him would be Hank, because Hank's so smart that he could answer every question about everything possible. But I think his time's a little too valuable to spend it with us for hours at a time.
Huge difference between phase 2 and Zen Soul. Not massive, but
for me, no, not really.
Yeah,
I think the phase 2 is a little earlier and a little stronger. That's just how.
Stu's most memorable moment win in your career.
I mean, anytime I beat Chris is pretty memorable. So I did beat Chris one year to win the Weber Cup. So that was pretty good fun.
Ironically, I don't have the same view there.
Yeah, I
don't like it nearly as much when he beats me. So,
it's hard because anytime we win the Weber Cup, it always felt amazing because, like, realistically, we went in as the underdogs basically every time. Because if you look at the rankings, it's always like that. So that's like really fun moments, and like, me and Martin still laugh back about that. But then there are other things like you know, when I won my second title in Tulsa, it had taken me so long to get to the second one. And the second one for me is the big one. Like, because I don't want to make it sound like anybody can win because, you know, AJ's proven that that's not true. And I'm not necessarily picking on one of them. But just in general, I just feel like the second one is that like moment that you can convince yourself it wasn't a fluke the first time. But you know, one of the more memorable moments was when we won the roll-off in Portland. Me and Martin and Belmo and PA. Like, it gets played all the time, and like Simonelli struck and Timmy walked halfway down my lane and blah blah blah. And then Martin loves it because I turned around and I struck and yelled at them, "Not today, baby." And Martin loves that. So yeah, we have a good time with that.
Stu's fix for every ball question by Infinite Physics. Do you guys still have an IQ tour in the bag? I don't, but I'm a relatively newcomer to being able to throw those balls. So
if you'd have asked me this 2 days ago, the answer would have been no, and it's been a minute. But
it's
Alex
back in.
Yeah. Alex drilled me one, and I've been using it a little bit. So,
Sean, I would have agreed with this until everyone throws urethane.
Yeah,
and it makes those 2-inch pinballs irrelevant. I used to use them that way.
Pinballs for me are good if you're staying on the same pair, like a match scenario. Mm-hmm. Crossing the house with a 2-inch pinball is a disaster,
especially with urethane. There's some pairs that just won't hook.
I don't have any insights on it. I just know it's an IQ tool with spec, and it looks like a banger. Like, it's the daddy. Like, they nailed it. Like, from whatever I'm seeing, all the pictures I'm seeing.
Yeah. I think the Zen U would be better than the Rubicon, the UC3. I'd agree. What I've seen so far, I would say so.
Super, Infinite, Zen, Hype Solid. Nice. Which will be fitting between the Zen and the Hype Solid? Night Road, I guess.
Fate, a Night Road fits in there.
The Night Road kind of fits in there. It's kind of like, if you were looking on a total hook chart, it's probably around the same as the Hype Solid. It's just in a different shape.
Yeah, you get long with clean with pop versus smooth and less overall hook.
Okay, so we're about 7 minutes behind on these questions. So again, it depends.
As a minor,
like, it's too complicated at the minute. I'll take 2 of those shirts. Yeah. Oh God.
Dun, 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 dun. I don't know when her birthday is, but
26th of September.
Don't know.
After having Infinite Physics and Night Road, what are weaker ball options, you guys?
You go down to Hustle, Wine Hustle. You go to Burner, Pearl. You go to.
I think if you've got a higher rev rate, I think this Hype Solid is looking like a good option. I'm not 100% sure that I'm all in on it if you don't have a higher rev rate, but
it's fairly smooth. Yeah.
When you're in at 6th and 7th hour, do you find asymmetrical stand up too much and don't continue? What's your preferred choice when playing deep? That's a you question, Chris.
Yeah, I'm along more like the Hustle Wine Night Road route. Go up with RGs a little bit, a little less, some flare because it needs to flare. But the asymmetricals at that point get to be too strong up that much friction and get forward too fast for me.
I haven't thrown it. Have you thrown the Hustle?
I have thrown it, and I drilled it kind of strong and low, and so it's not the best one of them all. There's been a lot of really good hustles. I mean, that very first one's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, the Hustle Link is the best.
Yeah, but I do like it. I think it's pretty good.
Oh, I guess the PBA League is on Tina's birthday. So if I remember right, Frankie made the Axiom Pearl look really good. Yeah, he did use it for a while. I think you're right. What do you guys do to get back on track when things aren't going right during a block or find yourself spiraling mentally? I struggle too long to get in a good frame of mind. Tips. I mean, Chris might, rearrange the positioning of his bag with his foot.
Ask the question why, and then focus on execution. You have to execute. And one of the things that goes down first when your ball reaction goes away is a lot of people stop throwing it very good.
Yeah.
So
I don't 100% believe that you can't move off a bad shot, but I do believe that you can't understand what's going on in the lanes with a bad shot. I know those things seem to be contradictory, but if you're bowling well and you throw one not very well and it doesn't do what you want, 100% you can move off it. If you're all over the place and you can't string together 3 good shots, you can't. You just get on the ball carousel too easily.
Andrew Warren, you kind of answered your own question. He asked, "What's the best global ball?" It's probably the Reality or the Zen. And
he says, "Is the new Global Zen ball good for house?"
Yeah, he asked up here the greatest ball ever.
Oh,
from 900 Global. So it's just trying to catch up a little bit on some of the questions.
Oh, sorry.
So,
yeah.
Zen or Reality, and yes, they're both pretty good they're pretty good on most everything. So Reality is probably the best ball of all time, I would say. I like where your head's at. I'm hoping that works out.
Call over the Zen. That's
huh? Yeah.
Strong call.
Hey, I'm not opinionated. I'm just right. That's my t-shirt. So.
Oh, I didn't even really. That was bullshit. Shit's never been a curse word. I mean, it's just like, come on. I was bowling with Barnes then as well.
Yeah.
First shot, we were bowling on that PBA league thing in Detroit. Got a little right bucket. Shit. As soon as I let go of it.
Oops.
Fun story about that. The guy, Schroeder, comes up to me and he says, "Look, I'm not going to fine you, but you can't say that." And I was like, "Oh, really? Oh, didn't know that. Okay, my bad." And he goes, "Yeah, I've got way more problems." And Leto dropped the MF.
Oh. It wasn't in Spanish that time.
No. And he wasn't even upset. They bowled 279 and he was calling Rhino and MF for striking out to me, and he was the only one who missed. Because I think we bowled about 160 that game. So
George says, yes, I'm a fit expert. One quick physical game question. Keep bowling inside. Keep your shoulder back. Your right shoulder kind of controls everything. So you have to keep your head up and your right shoulder back if you want to get it going to the right. You can't get forward. And you can't pull down from the top with your shoulder and get it that direction.
One trick for opening your shoulders up is if you move your right foot back.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Turn it out to the right a little bit. Keep it pointed towards your target. That'll help keep your hips open. Yeah. So.
All right.
We've. I'm sorry. I know there's a bunch of more questions. We are at 1:15 already. So we'll we will cycle back around. Join us on Thursday. The PBA schedule is coming out November 3rd. We will have the commissioner, Tom Clark, on with us on Thursday, and he can answer any and all of your
questions. All of them.
But
anything you want.
Bring them all.
What's the worst is he'll say, "I can't answer that." So he'll be the only one feeling awkward. So bring whatever you want.
There you go. Tom Clark on Thursday. Again, join us at 10 a.m. Thank you for joining us today about this Real Talk Ball review on the Fate and Zen U, as well as evidently a lot of other balls. As always, we love your questions. Happy to answer anything we can, and show up here for what's real. Again, we're not just opinionated. We're just right. So, until next time, please support the sponsors that support us: Storm, Rotograph, 900 Global, Coolwick, Bowler's Mart, Fire Lake Bowling Center, Lightning Strikes, and Platinum Ford. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.
See you guys later.